Welcome all to Rotary Club of London, and we have a very special guest. District Governor Martin Ward is here to speak, and we'll get formal introductions in a minute. But let's all rise for the spoken invocation. May all those assembled here today enjoy the many offerings of Rotary. May we abide by the rules we have established, those of trust, fellowship, and ethics. And may we place service above self in our daily endeavors. And may we always test ourselves and our efforts to be sure they are the truth, good for all concerned, of benefit to mankind, and provide peace and understanding.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all our such command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land, glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Please join me in a toast to the Queen of Canada. To the Queen of Canada. And to Rotary International. Rotary International.
Thank you, David. Will one of the greeters please introduce our guests? Ian Wright.
The following people are joining us for our lunch meeting today. I'm wondering, as I say your name, if you could please stand and remain standing until we have all of the guests standing, and then we will greet them in our Rotary fashion. The first person I'd like to introduce is the speaker, our District Governor, Martin Ward. Here's also, as I understand it, his wife, Mary Ruskin. We have the Assistant Governor, Sue Story. We have a longtime friend of the club, Jerry Pribble, joining us. And we have two other guests, our student, Juan Martinez, and Liam Martin. How do we greet our guests?
Thanks, Ian. And a special thank you to Davis Martindale for being our guest lunch sponsor this month. How do we thank our guest sponsor? Are there any Rotary-related announcements? Greg Schinkel, would you please come to the mic?
On behalf of the Rotary Club of London Foundation, I went to the Better Business Bureau Integrity Awards last week, and two companies were awarded scholarships from the Rotary Club of London Foundation in the amount of $1,500 to each company. Each company gets a chance to select a worthy individual from whatever selection criteria they make, and the two winners then were Bluestone Properties and also Marketing Solutions in London. So your foundation dollars at work for the BBB and the winner companies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rotary members in the regional area, led by the Grand Bend Rotary Club, loaded shipping container number 74 of mostly discarded school supplies to go to the Middleburg South Africa Club. On Friday, preparation was done, and this club's members, myself, Bob, and Kirk Langford, assisted in preparation. And on Saturday, Steve, in addition to Bruce McGauley, Bob again, and a university student, Armin Min assisted in that loading of trailer number 74.
Trailer number 71 is in Akin, Haiti, and in January our plans are firming up for members from this club and other clubs to go to Haiti for purposes of helping distribute some of the goods that arrive there, including the Rotary Club of Stratford's aqua boxes and the foodstuffs to the hospital and to the local jail. We have two specific projects in mind right now. That is rebuilding in part the wall that was damaged by Hurricane Matthew, and the second is involving the development of seminars for the production of beehives and the production of drying ovens for mango, fruit, and potatoes. So we need some expertise in each of those areas. I will put this out as the last call to this club, at least, for any who thinks they might be able to join us. We will have a meeting in the next week or two to discuss the details of that trip. Thank you, President Steve.
Next up, speaking of coffee, we have some coffee from Haiti, and we're going to be working on that, I think, as a project. We do have the coffee for the winter season here with our Christmas label on it for sale after the meeting. It's $60 a box. Encourage you to buy one, and then that can be great gifts for your friends. And Tuesday night last week, we had a great fundraising dinner at the London Club. 21 of us had a great meal, great wines, and an enjoyable evening. And thanks for those who came and participated. We'll do it again next year.
I know there are several others in the room who have delivered dictionaries, but I had my first experience in delivering dictionaries, and I was at Lord Roberts French Immersion Public School. So it was an opportunity for me to parler mon français. J'ai étudié français avec mon femme pour parler avec ma fille qui habitait à Montreal. But I was able to speak to the grade 3 students who were absolutely delighted to get the dictionary. And I told them that it's a tremendous invention. It takes no batteries. There's absolutely no Wi-Fi hassles at all. And it's always on. So they had a little exercise of finding a word, and were encouraged then to discover the world through words in the dictionary en dual langue view. Oui.
Hello everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kirk Langford. I'm the chair of the Satellite Club. On November 21st, that's our next meeting, we are inducting 3 new members, and I invite anyone who's interested to either check out a Satellite Club meeting, see how it's different, and who would also like to support the new members because they are also members of this club. They're all past exchange students, which is really exciting that we have a really strong representation in the Rotary Exchange program coming into our club. And also just a general invitation. We meet on the 1st and 3rd Tuesday of every month at 6:30 at Fox and Fiddle downtown, so not far from here. And again, you are members of our club in the same way we're members of your club. So you're always welcome to come. We love seeing you there. It's great to connect with you and network with you, so you're always welcome. So again, 21st, our next meeting, 2 Tuesdays from now, I believe. Next Tuesday.
Any updates on the Christmas party?
No, not yet. I don't want to speak too soon. But we are planning a joint Christmas party, but that information is to come. But anyway, you're all welcome to come. We'd love to see you out. Yeah, great.
What time do you get your meetings underway usually?
We start them at 6:30. So if you want to come and order drinks or food, maybe show up 6:15. But yeah, we start the meeting at 6:30. Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you, sir. So coffee is available out front, $10 a box for 14 ounces. We encourage everyone in the club to take 6 bags at least. Jim Bell?
$10 a bag.
It's $10 per bag, yes.
You said box.
Oh, $10 a bag. Thank you. $60 a box. We also encourage you to recycle your Rotary magazine. So think of putting it in your doctor's office or your dentist's office. I did that with my dentist, and they were very pleased. So, avoidable blindness, we're still collecting glasses. And Army Kettles, anybody who has time and wants to ring the bell at the Angelos, starting December 1st, is our first date. So please see Jim Swanee for that, please. No meeting on the 18th. We have our Christmas party on the 19th. I would like Sue Story to come up and introduce our guest speaker, please.
Thank you, President Steve, fellow Rotarians, guests. What a privilege to introduce your District Governor, Martin Ward, and his wife, Mary Rustin. Some of you will know Martin because he started his Rotary career with you. However, I'm going to talk a little bit about where he went after he was here. So he's been a member of the Rotary Club of Grand Bend for 8 years, and over the past 30 plus years, his Rotary experience has spanned various clubs in our district, as well as District 7080, which I will refer to as the other district. The majority of his Rotary experience was in the other district, in the Waterloo, Ingersoll, and Kitchener Grand River clubs. But Grand Bend has been home since 2009. Over the years in Rotary, Martin has served on club boards. He's been a club secretary, a club president. He's a multiple Paul Harris Fellow, a member of the Paul Harris Society, and has served on many committees, both at the club level and the district level. These include youth exchange, group study exchange, district training, and foundation. He led a group study exchange to Iceland with the other district, and that was in 2004. He served 3 years as assistant governor for Area 3 in our district, and previously he was also an assistant governor in District 7080 for 2 years. With strong support from his wife, Mary Rustin, the couple has hosted a total of 15 exchange students. Martin was born in Toronto and spent his childhood in Ajax, Ontario. Since going to Waterloo for university in 1965, southwestern Ontario has been home. Martin and Mary have 3 children, 2 daughters and a son, and 3 grandchildren, 2 granddaughters and 1 grandson. Most of his working life has been spent in computer software. For the last 40 years, he has spent time developing, selling, and implementing management information systems in agricultural businesses throughout Canada. He is currently self-employed as a computer systems analyst and programmer, and in his spare time, he serves us as our district governor. Please give a warm welcome, Martin Ward.
Sue has been very well practiced at that. I think that is the 9th time Sue's had the pleasure of introducing me. Thank you very much, Sue. I think it's probably the last, right? Well, thank you very much for welcoming me. It's my pleasure to talk to you today about the focus for Rotary for this coming year. The year that we're well into at this point. We're actually a third of the way through it. But before I begin, I want to make sure that everybody knows that as far as I'm concerned, the real strength of Rotary lies in individual Rotarians and individual Rotary clubs. Those of us that work at the district level, at the zone level, and even those that work in Chicago do so with one primary purpose, and that is to support and strengthen your clubs, to help you do that. On your tables, I have put a rack card, which is a shameless promotion of the Grand Bend Conference in May. I will talk about that in a little bit more detail later. But I have also put on the tables a theme pin. You're welcome to take those. If you collect the theme pins or like to wear them, please help yourselves. And to put some strength behind the statement, I said that we are here to serve you and help support you in your efforts. I have put business cards on every table, so if you want to get in touch with me, please do. I'm sure you all know that this year's president is Ian Risley from Sandringham, Australia. Ian is a man of many talents, one of which I'm pleased to say is designer of ties. I'm really quite excited about the tie that Ian chose. In fact, he did design it for this year because I think it's a really nice tie. Ian's theme is Rotary making a difference. I'm sure most of you already know that. You have a nice banner sits in front of you every week that you can read that. What I'd like to do, though, is tell you what Ian said when he introduced the theme in January in San Diego. He said, the theme this year is Rotary making a difference, because after all, that's what we do. In ways large and small, we make a difference in the lives of people throughout the world. What I'd like you to do now is think about the future. I'd like you to think maybe 20 years out. There's no question we live in a time of tremendous change. I mean, just in the last week, the news has reported a number of different things, like a fund on the TSX, which is totally controlled by computers with no human intervention. Artificial intelligence is making greater and greater and greater strides into our daily lives and into the businesses that we work in. We have things like self-driving cars. Recently announced, Stratford is going to be a test bed for self-driving cars. I wonder if 20 years out, if they will have wheels. I wonder about things like implanted computers. And I don't mean the implanted computer that I have that keeps my heart running. I mean implanted computers that will help you keep in touch with your Facebook friends. The world will be a very much different place, I think, in 20 years. I think we're at a point of disruptive change. What I'd like you to do now, though, is imagine what this Rotary Club will look like in 20 years. And I ask you if you like what you see. During this preparation for district governor, and your member David Elliott is about to start on that process. The nomination is not yet formal. We have a couple of more days for people to object to the nomination. But provided there are no objections to the nomination, you folks have the pleasure of hosting a district conference in a few years, and the pleasure of having the district governor in your club. And David will find out that he has a little bit more than 2.5 years to undergo training for a 1-year job. I'm not quite sure what they're trying to say about those of us that volunteer for this position. But in that training, in those more than 2.5 years of training that I had the pleasure at Zone Institute and again at the International Assembly in San Diego, I had the pleasure of listening to a Rotarian from California, a Rotarian by the name of Mitty Chang. Some of you may have heard him talk or heard of him. Mitty is one of those highly sought after Rotarians. He's one of the animals we call a millennial. He's a computer person by profession. He's a dedicated Rotarian. And when he talks to district governor-elects in the training process, he talks about what we need to do in our clubs if we want to welcome, attract, and engage people his age. But he introduces his talk by telling a story. And I'll give you just a short version of that story now. I'm going to take you out 100 years, not just 20 anymore, but way out into the future. It's 2117. There's a young girl learning about history. I won't say she's reading a history book because there may not be books then, but she's learning about history. She reads about a crippling disease called polio that was eradicated in the early decades of the 21st century. She reads about an organization that called Rotary International that was a key player in the eradication of that disease. A service organization that no longer exists. So the question for today is, what can we do to change the ending of Mitty Chang's story? Last year, about a year and a half ago, in April 2016, our Council on Legislation met and made some changes. I think most of you know that, but just as a reminder, the Council on Legislation is not a bunch of folks that sit in Chicago and make up rules for us. It is a collection, a meeting, once every 3 years, of representatives from every district in the world that get together to consider changes that are proposed by individual Rotarians and individual Rotary clubs. So you can think of the changes that the council announced a year and a half ago as a groundswell of what Rotarians in general feel that needs to be done for us to secure the future of Rotary in our communities. What I've been saying as I've been visiting clubs in our district this year is that the new rules are, there are no rules. That doesn't quite pass the four-way test, but it's close. I'll illustrate that. It wasn't very long ago that our clubs had to meet at the same place, at the same time. That was published every week, and don't ever veer from that. That really wasn't very long ago. Now, with the changes made by the council this last year, clubs are required to meet a minimum of twice a month. So there is a rule. However, clubs define what a meeting is. And that's why I say essentially the new rule is there are no rules. The way I'd like you to really interpret that, though, is that the new rules are essentially up to you at the club level to do what you need to do in order to secure the future of Rotary in this community. I'm sure you know about variable meeting times. You don't have to meet every week. You could meet at different times in different places during different weeks. You could set up all kinds of strange schedules. And some clubs, in fact, are doing that. Many of the clubs in our district that have switched to meetings every 2 weeks or twice a month have found almost immediately an increase in membership. And I think with all of them, it's been because there are people that were thinking about membership, but were afraid to make the weekly commitment. And it seems it doesn't matter how often we tell people that we meet weekly, but you don't really have to come every week. Most people, I think, if they want to join the organization, they want to join the organization and participate fully. So what has happened in our experience in our district, when clubs have switched to 2 meetings a month, they immediately get new engaged members. You can have different membership types. Now, I don't have to talk long about that because you folks know about that. You instituted a corporate membership. Some clubs are looking at family memberships, a number of different things. One that I heard of fairly recently was when I visited Wyerton. They have what they call Friends of Rotary, and lots of us have Friends of Rotary in our clubs, people that help us with projects, with things like container loadings, and many different things. They're almost a part of our club, but they're not members. What Wyerton did was they formalized that process. They basically charged those members that would like to be a friend of Rotary $50. And with that $50, they give them a Rotary polo shirt and a Rotary badge. So in essence, they are members of the club, but not full members. They're invited to attend meetings. They have some rules on restriction. You can only come to 10 meetings a year and things like that. But I think if someone came to 11 or 12 meetings, nobody's going to tell them to leave. Frankly, that Wyerton instituted that about a year ago. And right now they have more than a dozen Friends of Rotary, and one of them has converted to full-time membership. So that's something to be creative and think about. And why were the rules changed? To change the ending to Mitty Chang's story. It's really that simple. Now, adapting to change is nothing new to Rotary. It was over 100 years ago when Paul Harris said, if Rotary is to realize its proper destiny, it must be evolutionary at all times and revolutionary on occasion. I believe we're in one of those revolutionary occasions. And President Ian Risley is encouraging every club in the world to make changes required in their clubs in order to secure the future of Rotary in their communities. As I mentioned, some clubs have already made change. What I'd like to do now, if we're thinking of attracting members under 40, which I think most of our clubs are trying to do that, I'd like to tell you about what a Rotary meeting looks like if it's organized by people that age. And I want to tell that story so that you can think about your own Rotary meeting and whether or not it is welcoming. We all have rituals and traditions that we do at our meetings. We get used to them, and in fact, we quite like most of them. It's part of our weekly experience. It may be off-putting to visitors, first-time visitors. So the example I'll tell you about is the Rotaract Club in Stratford. Now, the Rotaract Club in Stratford is community-based. It's not university-based like the clubs here in town. They do meet at the University of Waterloo campus in Stratford, but it is community-based. They have about 25 or so members. The night that Mary and I visited, there was around 25 people present, and we gathered at the scheduled time. And essentially, the president, Mary and I have a disagreement about whether or not she even stood up. But basically, she rang the bell and she said, tonight's speaker is. And the speaker was classification talk. So one of their members got up and talked for about 15 minutes. She took some questions. And then the president asked for some committee reports. And by the way, their big fundraiser at the Rotaract Club in Stratford is a pub crawl that they do twice a year. And Kirk, am I right in assuming that you have modeled one of your events after theirs?
I stole the idea completely.
We call that Rotary R&D, rob and duplicate, right? So at the end of the committee reports, the president rang the bell, said meeting adjourned. It was 35 or 40 minutes long. Now, your meeting is only an hour long. In most of our Rotary clubs, that is a short meeting. But these young folks, they want a short meeting. They want a meeting that is straight to the point. They met in the evening. They had no meal because they want to keep costs down. There was no alcohol, no toasts, no songs, no fines, no happy bucks. None of the things that we think are mandatory in Rotary meetings because it's historical, the rituals that we do. When I was preparing for President-elect training last year, I looked all through the manual of procedure and the code of policies, and most of you don't know what both of those books are. They're both about this thick. And they define how clubs and districts should operate. I searched them for what must be in a Rotary meeting. There's absolutely nothing in the rules that must be in a Rotary meeting. There was one thing about Rotary meetings, and that was what must not be in a Rotary meeting. Off-color jokes are not permitted. So I would encourage you to think about your own meetings, to think about the rituals that you have, and whether or not they're welcoming to first-time visitors. Now, I will say that nobody is forcing change. As I mentioned before, the new rules essentially are there's no rules. You get to do what you want to do or what you need to do to secure the future of Rotary in this community. So I'm not asking you to change. What I am asking you to do is look 20 years out for the future of this Rotary Club. And if you think that future is a little bit brighter if you make some change, then I would encourage you to make change, and sooner is better than later. Now, generally that generates some questions, but what I'll do is I'll leave questions to the end if you don't mind, and I will just switch gears now and talk about that district conference I said I was going to talk about. So our district conference next year is May 4th and 5th. It's in Grand Bend. It is at the Oakwood Inn, and it's much earlier than conferences usually are, but that has to do with scheduling conflicts. I tried to get the first weekend in June at the Oakwood Inn, but 3 years out it was already booked. Apparently there's a minor hockey association in Ontario that meets there regularly, and they said they were coming back. So then I backed it up and kept bumping into things like Memorial Day, May 2-4, and then finally I hit Mother's Day and said, okay, we're going before that. That's why it's that early. The good news about that is, and many of you may know this, that Grand Bend has a strong artists community that celebrates itself once a year with studio tours. The restaurants got involved. What we end up with is a weekend festival of art, music, and food. It is the same weekend as our district conference. And we are working together with the arts community to provide an experience for people that come to our conference. So we're encouraging you to come for the Friday and Saturday, or maybe just Saturday, but to stay over for Sunday for what the town has to offer. But 5 weeks after the Grand Bend conference, there's an international convention in Toronto. Those of you that have been to international conventions know that they are truly inspiring. The speakers that you get, the subjects that are discussed, the people that you meet will inspire you about Rotary. There's absolutely no question in my mind. And we could talk about that for quite a while. But what I will say briefly is that I believe every Rotarian should attend at least one international convention, if at all possible. Toronto is an opportunity not to be missed. It will never be closer, and despite the prices of those hotel rooms, it will never be more affordable. So I would encourage each of you to think seriously about attending the convention in Toronto. And if you are thinking about it, I would encourage you to register soon, and even stronger encouragement to get a hotel room soon. Because if you haven't done that already, the hotels that are very close to the convention venues are already sold out. Now, the next price increase is in the middle of December. That's not very far away. So if you are thinking about it, you will save yourselves $75 US per person if you register before the middle of December. And you'll stand a better chance of getting a hotel room. What I'd like to do now is talk a little bit about polio. We all know that polio has been a major focus for Rotary International for well over 30 years. It is the first world-scale project of this kind that Rotary has ever done. And for years we've been saying we're this close. I attended a session in Atlanta where I learned we're much closer than that. We don't know when the last case of polio will be reported, but we are cautiously optimistic that it will be soon. Bill Gates is on record as saying he thinks it will be in this calendar year. Most other people are not quite that optimistic. So far this calendar year, we have seen 13 cases of polio reported. That was as of the last time I checked, which was just about a week ago. So that's the good news. I suppose the bad news is for 3 years after 0 cases, we still need to immunize. We still need to test for the presence of the polio virus. Costs a lot of money. In Atlanta, they told us the cost of that 3 years after 0 cases will be $1.5 billion. And then at the convention, people started walking across the stage representing their countries, making pledges. And I will say I was extremely proud to be a Canadian that day, because Canada has been, in terms of a per capita contribution of our number of people in our country, has been a very strong supporter of polio eradication for many, many years through a number of different administrations. Once all these governments and foundations like Bill and Melinda Gates finished making their pledges, we had raised $1.2 billion. 1.2. And not long ago, about a month and a half ago, the UK stepped forward with another 100 million. So from all those pledges, we have 1.3 billion for the end. I guess that's good news, because the remaining money is actually an attainable target for Rotary. So we can do it, but your continued support is vital until we reach the absolute end. Changing subjects again, and many of you may know this, but it was especially important to me because I have been concerned about environmental issues for some time. And I have been asked by a number of people why Rotary was not doing anything with regard to the environment. And I don't know if any of you have actually looked, but if you Google Rotary and the environment, you really won't find very much. One of the things that Ian Risley did in January was he said the time has long passed when environmental concerns can be dismissed as not Rotary's concern. They are and must be everyone's concern. So what Ian has asked is that each club plant 1 tree for every member between the start of the Rotary year and Earth Day, which I think is April 22nd. Now, in environmental terms, that's not really a great big thing. However, 1.2 million new trees will make a difference. To me, there will be a much bigger difference by raising environmental awareness in our Rotary clubs and individual Rotarians, and in fact, giving us permission to pursue environmental projects. I want to make sure you have enough time for your sergeant at the end of the meeting, so. As I said to President Steve, I have a few things that I really want to talk about and a few optional things, and I've done most of the optional things. So I want to thank you very much for giving me so much time. But before I close, I want to challenge you a little bit, I think, to think about your Rotary story. Because we're talking about change in our clubs. We're talking about what we need to do to secure the future of Rotary in our communities. And if we're doing that, then I'd like to encourage you to think about your Rotary story, because that might help you as you're thinking about those things and talking to prospective members. So I would ask you, why did you join? Why did you stay in Rotary? What makes you proud to be a Rotarian? Is Rotary still relevant? And what can you do to secure the future of Rotary? Now, the first time I did that, I basically said thank you and sat down. But Mary said, you can't do that, Martin. You can't just ask all those questions without telling people your Rotary story. So I'll tell you mine. I joined Rotary because I was told to. I was working with a company in Waterloo. It was a management consulting computer company. And for a number of reasons, we decided we would open an office in London. So I came to London. The 4 principals of the company in Waterloo were Rotarians. They said, join Rotary, it's good for business. So I did. In fact, I joined this club. I don't remember exactly when that was, but Mary is good at deducing when things were by the ages of our kids. So I believe I was a member of this club in 84, 85. I wasn't here a real long time because business took me back to Waterloo. And no, the branch office didn't fail. I just took different responsibilities. So when I came to this club, I have to admit, I felt really odd. I felt like a fish out of water. I remember that. Because frankly, I was in my mid-30s. Some members of the club were roughly my age, but most were not. Those were the days that Rotary was a club for gray-haired men and their fathers. As I said, I was in my mid-30s. This club was maybe a little scary too, because there was a lot more of you than there are now. And it was movers and shakers from town, and I was just the manager of a little computer branch office. So I was nervous, and frankly, I was uncomfortable with a lot of the rituals that went on at these meetings, because I'd never seen anything like that. But you guys did something. I say guys because then it was. There was no women in Rotary then. You did a couple of very smart things. You put me on the front door taking attendance, and I got to meet people. Found out they weren't all that scary after all. Some of them were actually pretty nice guys. And then you did the thing that hooked me. You put me on the Easter Seal Committee. And basically I got hooked. So about a year and a half after that, as I mentioned, we went back to Waterloo. And Mary went to a Rotary Ann meeting. Some people might remember what those were. Rotary Anns were spouses of Rotarians, and somebody called Mary a Rotary Ann once. Anyway, she came home from one of the Rotary spousal meetings one night and said, I think we should host an exchange student. Well, that put us on a path for about 20 years of very, very heavy involvement in youth exchange in the club, at the club level as well as at the district level. And Dawn, all of mine was in that, as Sue says, the other district. So that's what hooked me, and that's why I stayed. Am I proud to be a Rotarian? Absolutely. Incredibly proud to be a Rotarian because of the work we do. It's really that simple. In our own communities and internationally, the work we do is astounding. And as I visit clubs, I visited almost all of them now in our district. Every club is different, but what every club shares is a passion for what they do, the service they do in their communities and around the world. And that's what makes me proud to be a Rotarian. And is Rotary still relevant? I believe absolutely Rotary is relevant. It's probably more relevant than it ever has been. But there's no question in my mind that we need to engage a younger membership. And what can I do to secure the future of Rotary personally? Frankly, I think I'm doing it right now, and I'm not thinking very far past the end of this Rotary year. So finally, I just want to say thank you very much for your attention. I've enjoyed my visit here today. I'll remind you of what I said at the beginning, that those of us that work at the district level do so to help you strengthen your club. And I look forward to working together with each of you in the coming year to make a difference. Thank you.
Don't go too far away there, Martin. Don't go too far away. Martin, what a great privilege for our club to be able to thank you and your lovely First Lady of Rotary in our district, Mary Rustin, to be with us today. We greatly appreciate it, and we're glad you stayed. Man, you brought back some good memories, for me at least. Jim and I were here in the mid-'80s with our gray-haired fathers, and I think we were turning gray in those days, Martin. And I remember clearly at the end of the official speech that one gives as a district governor to Rotary clubs, how relieved you must feel right now at having made such an excellent impression on our club as you finish. You can relax now. The stress is over.
Thank you, sir.
Just a couple of comments about what you said. I think it's so revealing for all of us that Martin is the second district governor from his very active and community-minded Rotary Club of Grand Bend. Like his predecessor, our friend, past district governor Don Prouse, we take great pride in knowing that you are not only members of our club, but your club was indeed sponsored by this club. So there's a very close connection between Rotary Club of London and your club in Grand Bend. Few know, I think it's fair to say, few in this club will know the tremendous personal sacrifice that accompanies the role played by our governors in this district. Mary has come to find that out at this stage, I am sure. But the role begins long before the district nominating committee gets into action. This is a commitment that's made from years of experience. The learning journey as long as you explained to us today, and your active involvement at the club and the district level and beyond is an important ground for you to have accomplished what you did and be able to do what you're doing this year for our district. Rotary service, of course, has become the way of life for you, as all of our predecessor governors, and along with support of Mary, your commitment to that signature program in youth exchange particularly has been an important part of that learning cycle. So your background in Rotary and what prepared you for this day is very significant. You've also mentioned to us of the need to have the full support of your club in preparing for what we are going to enjoy in Grand Bend, a conference embracing change. I can assure you, Martin, if the nominating committee decision stands, this club will be fully behind our past president, David Elliott, as we prepare for his year of service in 2021. You are fulfilling the mission as a district governor this year, and certainly for our club, you have done just that today. Your presentation has been informative, it's been motivating, it's been clear, and you've brought to our attention some of the challenges that we face as Rotarians. Indeed, as Will Rogers said, the future ain't what it used to be. And you have brought that message to us in a way that makes us all mindful of our need to participate in the growth of Rotary, the change of Rotary, and a commitment to your vision for what Rotary might be 10 and 20 years down the road. So, our token of thanks includes a program with which you are very familiar and one on which you commented. Polio Plus, of course, needs all of us to be vigilant, and the 50 children that you and Mary have just helped us immunize will help us all realize Rotary's dream of a polio-free world. So I ask Mary to come forward, and I'm going to present to both of you that small token of our appreciation for your being here today. Mary, thank you so much for being with Martin and supporting him as you do. You can write love letters to him in the card. Martin, for you as well, and our usual certificate that indicates that our support for your program of Polio Plus and ours.
John, thank you very much.
Bob Black for that ritual.
Yes, there you go. All right. Well, District Governor Martin, you'll be pleased to know that this is a club that we too do not adhere to or support off-color jokes. Bad jokes, we got a ways to go. But good jokes or off-colored ones, no siree. So thank you.
5 bags to sell.
Oh, we got 5 bags to sell that as well. All right. Well, we won't. We only got a few minutes here, so we want to kind of move forward. Anyone, just by any chance, wandering around the convention center today, just trying to figure out where the meeting was, or did everybody do well and come in here first? Everybody do well? Congratulations. Jerry Pribble, so nice to see you. Welcome back, and it's always fun to have you here. So welcome, and I would think that the people at your table, they would be so honored to throw a buck in just because you chose to sit with them, you know? So thank you. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. All right, we want to just, by the way, we do something a little different here too. Sergeant at Arms like to give money away. We give it away most of the time. Like I got $23 I'm going to be giving away to somebody today, their lunch money. And maybe, if they draw the Queen of Spades, a $68.50 bonus. So, but before we give it away, we take a little. So, give a little, take a little. That's how we do it around here. I do see Ian Wright. Ian Wright was here. And last week we didn't get the chance to sing happy birthday, but he'll soon be celebrating yet another year of life. And so why don't we join together? I think he's the only one that we missed that's here today. So let's all sing happy birthday to Ian. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. Put your $5 on the table, happy birthday to you. And many more, my friend. We don't sing well either. We sound like dying cows in a hailstorm or something. I don't know what that is, but anyhow. But it was all sincere, so there we go. And I want to recognize a couple of people. Van Robson-Hayes, you've been with our club at this moment 3 years, so we recognize your tenure with us, and we have many more. And Harry Jewston, 9 years, so congratulations on that. You've accomplished much in your 9 years with us, and we look forward to many more as well. All right, real quick, because we don't have a lot of time, any happy bucks, people that are real happy? I see Rick Coates.
This past weekend, we had the Rotary District 6330 Youth Exchange Interview Conference. It was my 20th one, but what I want to do is put in a happy tune because it was held on Remembrance Day, and our own Harry Jewson did a wonderful presentation for those people there on Remembrance Day. It was very touching and very appropriate and well received, I think.
Fantastic. That's great. And Harry, I saw your hand up, and I saw Stu's hand up. So Harry, and then Stu.
I got $2 and $1. $2. I was also going to mention the Remembrance Day. I did get help from Randy Ward to put together some of the materials for that, and I got through 98% of it without getting emotional. So that's our milestone.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful.
And $1 because Green Bay did squeak out a win.
Yes, I noticed that. Yes, I thought of you too. So there you go, Stu.
Yeah, just quickly, with respect to the eyeglasses for the avoidable blindness, I discovered that if you go to your optometrist, I went to Dave Cummins, who many of you know. I said, I'd like to get some glasses. And he said, how many do you need? And I said, oh, I don't know, about 100. He said, okay, by the middle of next month.
Wow.
So next time you're seeing your optometrist or your ophthalmologist, just bring it up.
Perfect. Thank you. Kirk. Wow. At your young age, that's incredible. Ian.
October the 23rd, my wife Wendy and I and our son Ryan and his girlfriend Kayla all ran the half marathon in Toronto. Now the $10 I've got is for the happy buck because Wendy completed it. She beat her son Eric, and Kayla also completed it. I, although it was a longer story, got a kilometer from the end and became dehydrated and collapsed and spent the next 2 days at St. Mike's Hospital.
Oh boy.
I'm fine.
You look good.
But it was a happy time for the rest of my family.
Well, congratulations to them, and you know what? None of us even tried. So, attaboy. All right. Anybody? Okay, we got Ron and we got Dawn, and then we'll probably have to wrap it up. But there's two more.
I have a story for Martin that I'll be pleased to share with everybody. 73 years ago, my grandfather took the time to try and teach me at age 5. Rules are for the obedience of fools and the guidance of wise men. So I'll just share that with you. You might be able to use it as you're discussing the lack of Rotary.
There you go. Thank you. And who else did I say? Don Bork.
Yes, it's happy $5, also related to this past weekend. The outbound interviews that we had Martin and Mary out for the morning. We had 5 members of our club. We had Juan out, and we had 4 members of the satellite club. So great turnout.
Perfect. Thank you. John, did I see you want to throw some money on the table?
I'll throw in 5 just because of the great victory this weekend. Without any apologies to the Waterloo Warriors, 72-34 for Western. The Gates Cup is ours. We're going to the Vanier Cup after a victory next Saturday. So go Mustangs, go.
Absolutely. Fantastic. All right, we'll just do one more thing, a little quiz question. And this is just, yes?
Coffee.
Oh, coffee. Yes, we got to do, how many do we have?
5 bags.
5 bags at $5 a pop, right? So do I have, rather than, make this go on forever, Brian's not here to give them all to him, but anybody who's willing, can I have 5 people that would throw $5? I got Jerry's, I got Randy, Elizabeth, Kirk, and Bob Early. Hey, all right, so there's the 5. It's gone. All right. Marilyn Neufeld, my friend. Would you stand? I just,
You can't stand up.
She can't.
She can. Marilyn helped us raise a lot of money by going in and having hip surgery. I think many of us remember the price she paid for the funds raised, and I'm talking to her about maybe getting her knees done now so that we can raise a little more. Talking to her about it anyhow. But I'm just going to ask a question. We just come through Remembrance Day weekend, and I sure hope that it was meaningful for all of you. There were moments through that day that were so, no, heavens, no. So I have a question for you, and it kind of piggybacks off the reality of why we would even have a Remembrance Day. It's just a simple question. In fact, it's almost so simple I'm almost embarrassed to ask. But if you get it right, we're all going to put $1 in. All right? If you get it wrong, $5. All right?
Or who?
You. Yeah. Because you're retired and rich. All right? And I'll match it. How's that if you get it wrong? The 100-Year War. How long was that? I'm almost embarrassed to ask. Why would you suggest that?
Because everything you do when it's me, it's a trick.
I'm hurt. I have feelings, The 100-Year War. How long was the 100-Year War, Marilyn? We need an answer. How long was the 100-Year War? It's simple.
Well, it would be 100 years, but
Is that your answer? Is that your final answer? No, it's 116. For some reason or another, the 100-Year War was 116 years. I'm so sorry because it cost you 5 and it cost me 5. Way to go, Maryland. What was that all about? All right, we're still raising money together. Okay, we're gonna give some money away now, and we got the cards here. Oh, and there's the ticket there. So the person who's holding the green ticket, 447-357. We've got $23 here for you. 447-357. 357. Looks like it's Keith Morrow is our winner again. You've won a few times, haven't you? Don't you sell these? Do you sell these? Something fishy. All right, no, there you go. So there's your 23, and an opportunity to win another $62.50.
And I shuffled these too.
And you shuffled them 10 of spades, so you didn't win the bonus money. But who should they see about their coffee?
Sandy, raise your hand.
Yes, I collect the money, yeah.
Yep,
All right, Sandy will collect the money, and where do they get their coffee?
right here.
Oh, right here. Come on up here. It's right here. Can you tell we didn't rehearse this? There it is. All right, I turn it back to our president, Stephen Knox.
Thank you very much, Bob. That's great. Next week, the dynamic duo will be doing a look back, look forward with special guests Jeff Schiller and Howard Shears. This will be an event. Thank you, Martin, for your presentation today. I would like to thank everyone for coming out. We are adjourned.